to move into our next presenter. And we have with us today Coach Stacy Mayer. And I think the topic of her talk with you today is pretty amazing because she's talking about why you aren't getting promoted, why you aren't getting promoted and the blueprint to fix that. And I know a lot of times we think that, you know what, I should be advancing. I should be a director by now. I should be at a higher salary level by now. I should be at the next tier by now. Why am I not there? And I know that can be, sometimes concerning. Honestly, it could cause us to get that imposter syndrome and start thinking like, wait a minute, am I really good at my job? Am I really good at what I'm doing? It can have so many impacts, but I am so glad, as I told you guys before, that Miss Corporate Badass herself is in the room, and she's got a book I know she's going to talk with you about. I can't wait to hear that as well. So without further ado, I am going to bring to the stage Coach Stacy Mayer. Will you guys give her a round of applause? Let us see the emojis. Welcome her to the stage. And there she is. Hi, Stacy.
Hello. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
We're gonna have so much fun. I cannot wait to be able to. I'm gonna let you loose. Honestly, I'm gonna let you loose. I'm gonna drop down from the screen. Here's the thing with this session, guys. Here's something I want to be sure you're doing. So Stacey's gonna have a conversation with you. She's gonna connect with you, okay? And so, in that, if you have questions, let's pop those questions along the way so that we can get those up onto the screen. So, leverage the Q&A portal on the side. Make sure that you're getting your questions in there, and we're gonna do that kind of real time throughout this talk and presentation. So, without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna give the stage over to you, Stacey. Definitely introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what you do, and then the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Tareka. Welcome, Expand 2022. I am so excited. So, as I kick off my conversation today, Tareka did an amazing introduction of me right before the break, and we had a live conversation on Monday. And I want to share with you, even before I introduce myself, some of the thoughts and crazy play that's been going on in my head in the last few days. And this is going to really segue beautifully into my conversation. So, Tareka and I had this amazing Instagram live on Monday evening, preparing for this conference, total corporate badass style, really pushing the envelope, talking about what is really happening in the world today for in executive leadership in all areas of professional and career development. And, like she said, I brought the conversation. So fast forward to me preparing for this presentation today. So I have long since known that I am not a slides person and that I have had difficulty in my career showing up as my fully expressed self when I'm hiding behind a PowerPoint presentation. And if that's you, just kind of let us know in the chat. If you're somebody who wishes that you could be more conversational, more connected, and get out from behind the slides. Now, a lot of people do really well with slides, and I have tried really, really hard to be that person. And I've practiced and I have practiced and I have practiced and I have practiced. And over the last year, ever since this book came out, I'm going to tell you more about that. I have realized that I am no longer going to do anything that I think I should be doing. I am no longer going to do, and this is the first lesson for why you're not getting promoted, is because you're doing a lot of things that you feel like you should be doing. You're doing the right things. You're doing what you're supposed to do in order to get promoted. And then you find out at the end of the day that you're still exactly where you started out, right? And so we're not going to do that anymore. And I'm leading by example in today's conversation because I am a corporate badass. I want to engage in conversation. I want you to ask me questions in real time. I want to push the envelope. I want to talk about what's actually happening in our world today as leaders. And for whatever reason, I do that better when I'm just on fire and impromptu in the moment. So if you ever feel like you just want to throw the presentation out the window, that is a good sign that you're ready for executive leadership, that you are already a corporate badass. So a little bit more about me. My name is Stacy Mayer, and I'm an executive coach and a promotion strategist, which basically means that I analyze what it's going to take to get you promoted to that next level of executive leadership. So, in general, I work with people at that director, senior director level looking to transition into those higher levels of executive leadership. Because you've all heard of the concepts like what got you here won't get you there and different things like that. And there is a very specific transition point that makes us ready and available for those higher level executive positions. Since starting my business, which I was inspired to do, by the way, back in the day, a while back, I worked for a women's leadership organization in Silicon Valley, where I still live. And I was seeing a lot of the women that I was coaching did not have imposter syndrome. They were not afraid to take risks. They were asking for what they wanted, and they still weren't getting titles and pay to match. And so when I started my business, I decided to focus and double down on what it was going to take to actually get women promoted into higher level executive positions. And so everything I've done over the past 7 years has been on that mission. In the first 6 months of starting my business, I had 3 women promoted to the C-suite. And these women weren't already VPs. These were women who were at that senior director level. They were getting skip level promotions, even internally in their own organization, using the skills that I'm going to show you today. And you're going to walk away with step 1, step 2, step 3, all the beautiful things that you would normally have in a PowerPoint presentation, but you might have to write it down and pull it out of my talk instead. A couple other things about me. I'm the author of Promotions Made Easy, a step-by-step guide to the executive suite. I am the host of the Women Changing Leadership podcast, and I am also the founder and creator of Executive Ahead of Time. That's the program where I teach you how to actually apply these skills to your executive leadership to get that recognition, to have that voice at the table, because we need you in senior executive leadership positions because you're a total corporate badass. And that's my sneaky goal, to get more corporate badasses into executive leadership positions. So to start out, and again, like Tareka mentioned, I'll just reiterate, if you have questions, write them into the chat. I love questions. I love connecting, and I love that real-time feedback. So I want to start out the conversation today with really giving you my point of view. So I talked about that transition, that sticky spot that a lot of the corporate badasses who I meet fall into, which is that director level transitioning into VP, SVP, and the C-suite. But then there is all this area in between. And so I want you to know, while you're listening to this conversation, if this is going to apply to you and why or why not. Because we just had this amazing conversation about project management. There's so many incredible people at today's conference who don't necessarily fall into that exact box. And I want you to know how to apply what I'm going to teach you. So let's say, for instance, that you're not a woman. And does this information apply to you? And the answer is, if you don't look, think, and act and talk like the rest of the room, 150% everything I'm going to be sharing with you applies to you, hands down, across the board. Because what I'm showing you is how to get promoted by doing things slightly differently. We're going to break the rules, but in the right way. And I'm going to explain in a little bit what that means. Break the rules by adhering to the rules and then breaking them again. Maybe that's what I mean. And then, does this apply to you if you are in what I would call an individual contributor role or an early level management role? And the answer is 150% yes, because if you start to apply these skills to your leadership right now, because every single one of us is a leader, and if you're at the Expand conference, then that means you're ready to expand, you're ready to grow, you're ready for that next level, whatever that might be. When you start to start to apply what I'm going to teach you, then you're going to be able to see your career and the opportunities that are being presented to you and the pay that you're receiving and the inclusion that you feel, you're going to also start to see all of that expand for you as well. All right. So keep your questions going. I want you to make sure that you know that this applies to you and that you can ask me. You get this airtime. Let's use it. So the name of my talk is Why You're Not Getting Promoted and the Blueprint to Fix It. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about why you're not getting promoted and the blueprint to fix it. And implied in there is that we want a promotion. Now, this is a funny thing because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want a promotion. And a lot of people don't advocate for their promotion because there is a little voice in the back of their head that says they don't want a promotion, but yet they feel like they should get a promotion. They deserve this recognition. They deserve more pay, but then they don't ask for it because there is a very wise voice inside of each and every one of us, every single person. So even if you're like, I want a promotion, I'm ready, Stacy, that's why I'm here at your talk. I'm ready. I want a promotion today. There's part of you that doesn't want a promotion. And that voice is incredibly wise. And I will tell you why. Because you have a lot of crappy role models. You have a lot of people in leadership that aren't leading the way that you want to lead, that aren't living the life, that work-life harmony that Tareka talks about, that aren't experiencing the life that you want to lead. So therefore, you don't actually want a promotion because you're like, well, if I have to give up all of these things, then I'm not interested. So in the back of our head, we sabotage, right? Like, another thing to put on women that we're our own problem, right? Which I hate to say, right? But we sabotage ourselves. And this is a concept that I write about in my book called failing ahead of time. So what we do is we only kind of ask. We wait until performance review because we want to make sure that we're not overstepping, or we want to kind of see what they're going to give us first, right? We say, well, I'm going to interview for this role, but we'll see what happens, right? All of those things are what I would call failing ahead of time. And so the first thing I really want you to see when it comes to why you're not getting promoted is that you don't actually want to get promoted. And so we're going to solve for that first. That's it, right? We're going to tell the truth. We're going to say, I don't want to get promoted under these circumstances. I don't want to get promoted because my definition of success is a little bit different than other people, right? I don't want to get promoted because I have 2 small children at home that mean a lot more to me than climbing the corporate ladder. I don't want to get promoted and then find myself being a token board member. Like I live out here in California, and we have amazing laws that were passed where we have to have diversity on boards. Fantastic. This is a huge win, right? But what women are finding is they're getting put on boards and then they're getting shut down, right? So how many times have we been shut down? Even when we do get that promotion, we're not included in the conversation. And so I ensure that you get promoted in a way that allows you to bring your whole self to the leadership table. I'm going to talk about what that whole self is here in just a minute. So the first thing is, when you're looking at not getting promoted, is, do I really want it? And so then what we do is we redefine it. I want a promotion under these circumstances, one that has a voice. I want a promotion if I have inclusion. I want a promotion if I have autonomy. I want a promotion if I can have work-life balance, right? So we just start to put it out there and we say, okay, this is it. The other thing that's happening for us is that we're going for those promotions at the wrong times, right? We're waiting for that performance review. So I'm going to give you a very specific tool, a great takeaway. I have a free download that goes along with this so that you can actually take that away and you can say, oh, I'm going to start doing, well, I'll just give you a teaser now, 15-minute ally meetings so that I can advocate for my career year round, right? So that's the tool. I'm going to teach you how to do that before we go today. Promise it's not going to go over 30 minutes, Tareka. So, okay. So that's the other thing, is that we're not advocating for our promotion year round, right? We're waiting until that performance review. And worse, oh my God, with all the layoffs that are going on in the world right now, you're like, this is the worst time to advocate for my promotion. So I'll just wait another 6 months. Right. And I'm going to teach you that advocating for your promotion doesn't mean walking in and saying, give me a raise, give me a higher title. It's the way that you're showing up as an executive leader. The other reason that you're not getting promoted is that you've been given really bad advice. So if anybody is live here and they want to share with me why they think they're not getting promoted, and then in the meantime, I'm just going to tell you a couple of the reasons that I hear from women on the daily as to why they're not getting promoted. So number one, I just said this, which is that it's not the right time. We just did a bunch of layoffs. There's the economy is bad. We have a hiring freeze, like all of that BS, right? I say BS because it's real, right? But we don't have to tap into those limitations. Another reason is we'll be told that we're actually doing nothing wrong. So if you're a real corporate badass and you're somebody who's really, really good at your job and you've been told just keep doing what you're doing, or you're doing great, let's just see what happens. I want you to hear this, and I want you to take this, and I want you to believe this. The person who is telling you this information in general, because I will tell you that any woman of color that has raised to the ranks of corporate leadership is not going to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. So you really want to think about, who is that person telling you you're doing great, just keep doing what you're doing, it will happen with time, is usually a white male leader. And you really need to understand that, because that's what worked for them. Why? Because they can build trust just by walking in the room. When you look, think, and act like the rest of the room, you know what? They think you're ready for a promotion. Ta-da! It's amazing, right? And we see it happen all the time. Incompetent people, but they just happen to look like the rest of the room, getting promoted, right? It's a bunch of BS, and it's happening over and over again. So that person is giving you advice to wait and see. And I really want you to sit with that, because if you wait and see, you are never getting promoted. And this is a double bind dilemma. I know it, and it stinks, but here's the good news. We are changing the face of the leadership table. We are going to do that by bringing our whole selves to the leadership table, which means we have to work a little bit harder, right? It means we have to do things a little bit differently. It means that I think it's actually a blessing that we can't get promoted in the exact same way, because this process that I'm going to teach you, 15-minute ally meetings, allows us to get promoted on our terms. It's a very unique process, and those white male leaders are not doing it, and we are getting ahead as a result. And the third reason why you're not getting promoted is because you're going about it the wrong way. Now, in my book, Promotions Made Easy, I actually called it that because I personally think that promotions are incredibly easy, like so easy. Like, you come into executive ahead of time, you will get promoted. Like, it's like it happens unbelievably so fast. And I'm giggling because it's almost stupid, right? So there are certain things that you can do. William's like, what? Promotions are easy? Get my book. It is so easy. And here's the thing, that these women, they get into my program, they get promoted immediately, and then they continue to work with me for the next 3 years. So if the only reason they were coming to me was to get that promotion, it's because it wouldn't make sense. They would literally work with me like 2 weeks. I would get them the promotion, and then they would move on and have a happy life, right? But the first thing I want you to hear is that your next promotion is just the beginning. And so there is a hurdle that you're not crossing right now that just needs to be crossed, right? It is so important for you to get that next promotion so that you can do what you need to be doing for the rest of your career. So if you want to mentor young women, if you want to create the next Expand conference, if you want to speak on stages, if you want to have your subject matter expertise and be seen as a person, write books, whatever that is, your unique thought leadership, we have to get you over the hurdle of that next promotion. And there are so many different ways, of course, to get promoted, right? There's the title change, there's the inclusion in conversations, there are pay bumps, there are a project that's actually going to get you more influence at your organization. But really, and this is I know a lot of you are like chomping at the bit for me to just tell you the thing. And here's the thing. This is actually, let me just slow down and I'm just going to tell you why promotions are so easy. And it's because a promotion is not a reward for your hard work. So up until a certain point of your career, a promotion was a reward for your hard work. So if you've been working for about 20 years and you are an expert in your field, you climb up an expert ladder and you go up, 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 you get to a point where you want to transition into leadership, and that's a whole different career trajectory, right? And so what we start to notice, especially at that director level, is that our expertise is not enough. Our hard work is not enough. So if a promotion is not a reward for our hard work, then the answer to getting promoted is to stop doing what we are good at. Stop doing what you are good at. Now, this kills. It's the knife in the heart. And I want you to hear me right now. We are going to stop doing what we're good at 5% at first. Just 5%. And I'll show you exactly what to do. In your next one-on-one conversation with your boss, instead of going through the blueprint of all the things that you're working on, instead of going into the weeds, as I call it, talking about all the details of what you're doing, you are going to instead say, why are we working on this project? This is like 5% of the conversation. So if it's a 60-minute conversation, it's just like 5 minutes. You're going to say, well, let's talk for a minute, 2 sentences. Why are we working on this project? Let's take a step back. Let's have a conversation about what's working, what's not working. When we start our conversations just simply in our one-on-ones with our boss, we start to be seen as a decision maker, as an executive leader, as a person who thinks through problems, right? As an ally to that leader versus a person who does work, right? As a person who does their work and is good at their job, right? As a person who just shows up and gets paid for the hours that they work instead of their ideas. So when we're transitioning into executive leadership, we're going to start to show them how we think, not the answer, right? And you can apply this to your executive level interviews. If you want to start to interview 1 level up, 2 levels up, 3 levels up, you do that by not talking the entire interview. You're going to do it a little bit about everything that you're good at, not giving them all the answers. You're going to tell them how you think, how you process information, what is going on in your head. Now, here's the kicker. So I talked about how getting promoted as a woman, as a person of color, is very different than getting promoted as a white male. And here is the one place, this stop doing what you're good at, where that's not different. When I first started my business, I got bombarded with C-suite executives, white male C-suite executives who were so far into the weeds, got promoted, right? So they got promoted not by stop doing what they're good at. They got promoted because they just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? Doing hard work and stuff like that. But then they built that trust that I'm talking about, that trust that you can think like an executive leader. They bought into that trust because they looked like them. So then they would get promoted without getting out of the weeds. And then they find themselves like a fish out of water and they're dying because they can't work 80-hour weeks. And they're like, they got promoted too quickly. But as women, and this is where I say this is kind of the gift that we have, is that it's harder for us to get promoted because we don't look, think, act, talk like the rest of the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to get ourselves out of the weeds first. Now, we're not going to sabotage our whole career. That's why I say it's the 5%. Just 5% of your next conversation, you're going to talk about the vision or the why first. Now, here is the one piece of advice that you have been given in your career so far that I think is actually true. And Tareka's coming on here. I bet she's probably telling me I'm almost up. So let me get going. This is the one piece of advice that you've been given that's actually true. In order to get promoted, you have to build trust with the executive leadership team. We have been told this. You've been told, you're not going to get promoted because nobody knows your name, right? So what you need to do is proactively build that trust with the entire executive leadership team. And you're going to do that through the process that I teach called 15-minute ally meetings. Now, here's where it gets good. William, put this in the chat, stacymayer.com/resources. On this page, you're going to have all my free resources, and you're going to see two things that I want you to download that are going to help you start to have these 15-minute ally meetings. One is a 15-minute ally meeting training where I literally go in depth, answer all your questions about how to do this. And then the other one is a PDF, and it's called Ask Better Questions. So what I want to leave you with, and the reason that this process is so important, is it builds trust on our terms, one-on-one conversation at a time. And so what we're doing is, instead of we're recreating those bumps in the hallway, we're not leaving it up to chance. We're building trust on our terms. So then you get an executive leader who knows what you stand for, who knows why your work matters. And we're doing it through asking questions, 15 minutes at a time, getting to know these leaders, one person at a time. And it sounds a little bit like a heck of a lot more work to our already busy schedule. And it's not, because it feels so good. It's going to start to feel like the highlight. You're going to start to have these richer, more valuable, deeper conversations with executive leaders. And you are going to start to get pegged as someone who is ready for a promotion. You're going to get called into that room. They're going to say, why isn't Tareka here? We need her in this conversation. Your boss's boss is going to say, what's going on with Tareka? Let's get her level set, right? We need her. She is a valuable contributor to this conversation. This is a great question. Do you recommend having an ally meeting with all executives or just certain ones of your choosing? I recommend at first all executives. The 3 quick rules of 15-minute ally meetings is they're not about work. It's not a check-in. It's not a, this is what I'm working on. It's not, this is how great I am. It's a get to know you leader to leader, just chatting, right? That's why they're 15 minutes, because these are busy, you're busy, we're all busy, right? So it's outside of work. So first thing to think about is, who are those people, those allies that I'm not meeting with that way? So maybe your boss, you're only having check-ins. You might need to have a 15-minute ally meeting with them too, right? So there's that piece. The second rule is they're only 15 minutes, as I've stressed. And the third rule is that you have more than one. Now, this actually answers that question, because you're going to have meetings across the board, CEO, random executives in other departments, all of those things. But you may not want to have meetings with them more than once. Maybe that person is a once every 6 months. Maybe another person's a once every year, right? But you're not going to know that until you engage in conversation with them. So you're really looking for clues. Is this a person who actually wants to meet with me? Right? Is this a person who cares about my professional career? Right? Is this a person who has any value to offer me? And there are a lot of people at your organization who do not. So, you decide who you're going to have the regular ones with, but challenge yourself to meet with your CEO, somebody who literally, this is what I say, somebody you have no business meeting with. challenge yourself to ask them if they would be willing to do, and I call it a 15-minute meeting. Like, they don't know what a 15-minute ally meeting is. I made it up. I trademarked it, right? Like, this is my thing. They don't know what that is, but you just say, can I have a 15-minute check-in with you, right? Challenge yourself to do that. But then also, the first meeting could be with somebody really easy. Yes, we want to challenge ourselves, but we also want to make this very doable. I'm all about taking action. And so pick that woman that works in finance that you really admire and you genuinely just want to get to know her. Like, it's just like so easy, right? You're like, I'm going to ask her first because I think she'll actually say yes. Whereas my
Yeah.
CEO feels a little out of reach, right? So make this easy on yourself. Get
Yeah.
yourself promoted. Start
Hmm.
changing the leadership table. Tareka, we got to get these people up there.
But can I just tell you, first of all, Stacey, I love how freaking bold and authentic you are, and you know that I love that. And so I'm crazy intentional about having you as part of this conference. I What you're saying is the journey that I've been on, and I'm here to tell you that it works. Right? I was in a place where I was kicking butt and performing and outperforming colleagues around the table, but the CEO didn't know who I was. COO didn't know who I was, right? They knew that there were things that were happening and they knew there were great things that were happening and things were progressing, but they didn't know the genesis of that. And when I started thinking differently about how to position myself for leadership, you're absolutely right. I stopped the conversation and the narrative so much about look at me, look at me, look at me, and look at all the things I'm doing, right? Because I got past the head down, work hard. I was like, okay, you want me to be visible? I'm gonna be visible. So I'm doing, 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 but I wasn't changing the narrative in the conversation. So when I had, which I love the way you coined it, an ally meeting, when I had a conversation with a leader, with one of the executive leaders in the company, I was able to say, I'm wondering, why are we approaching this, well, in this case, it was sponsors. Why are we approaching this type of strategy with our sponsors? Isn't there a different way we could take a look at this? And they're like, huh? Wait, what? Because I introduced a conversation that I
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with them. And I showed that I had
Mm.
insights and additional value to bring to the table. And when you do that, when you start to not only know your value, but articulate your value in a way that people can understand, resonate with, and say, give me more of that. I need more of that. Where's that coming from? Then that 5% can go to 10%. That 10% can go to 15%. And next thing you know it, if you read Stacy's book, you're going to have yourself a what, Stacy? A
A
promotion.
promotion. Oh
And
my
that
God. And
promotion, that promotion, I'm just going to say, sometimes you're not even having to ask for the
no, it's
promotion.
amazing.
It comes
Yeah.
to you. And I'm a testament to that. It can come to you. I'm telling you, full transparency, literally, you I have had promotions year over year, and I can tell you I've only asked for one of them. I have had an increase in my salary year over year since 2017, and I've only asked since 2017, and we're in 2022, and I've only asked for one of them actually. And that was because I was transitioning and I was negotiating a salary. Why? Because I changed the narrative of the conversation and took control of how I wanted to position myself for a promotion. So I'm here to tell you what Stacy is saying is spot on. It's spot on. And this is how you make promotions easy, right? This is how
Oh,
you make it easy. You take control of it. So I'm here with you, Stacey, 1,000%. 1,000%.
I had goosebumps because I can't imagine what the world would be like if you didn't figure this out. Like, what a loss
Be a different world.
to women. I mean, seriously, I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding though. Like, look at Tareka right now and say, what a loss. And
Mm,
that's the loss that we're like literally losing every single day, right?
I agree
And
with
you
you.
meet it, you see your friend who you're just like, man, if you could just figure this out. And we need conferences like Expand to share this information because it is right there, but it's
Yeah.
not being shared and implemented. And I just want all of you to get promoted so that we can all start to change the leadership table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Stacey, I thank you. I appreciate you so much. I love your energy. I love your just your ability to be so authentic and so bold. Please let people know where they can connect with you on social media, and where they can get your book.
Well, my Instagram is at corporate badass, and also connect with me on
I love that.
LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And then, Yeah, and then my podcast is Women Changing Leadership with Stacey Mayer. And then I
And
put those resources in here for a reason. I really want you to download, especially that asking better questions. I'll drop that into the chat. It's staceymayer.com/questions, but it gives you 20 questions to initiate the conversation in these 15-minute ally meetings.
I love it. I love it. Priya says she got goosebumps. She got goosebumps. Just goosebumps for today. But this has been amazing. It's been phenomenal, guys. Share, share, share. If this was helpful for you, take a picture, take a screenshot, tag Stacy. I hope you've been doing that throughout the conference, taking pictures and tagging our speakers because they have been bringing you so much value, so much energy, so much fire today. We want you to definitely connect with us on social. Let us know what are your key takeaways. Stacy, we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for sharing with us today at Expand. Um, I just love you, and I really
I
appreciate the
love
time.
you. I love
All
you
right. We will be in touch. I'm going to drop Miss Stacy down from the stage, guys, and we are going to keep this show rocking and moving. If you like Stacy's energy and just the realness and authenticity that is coming out of this woman's mouth, please be sure give us some emojis. I see the hearts. I see it, guys. This was a pretty amazing conversation, and I appreciate the boldness of the conversation for sure. Here's what we're going to do. My boy is about to come to the stage. Okay, so we're mixing this up. We got the guys. We have some guys earlier today. We have the women we came on in, and then we're gonna bring up another guy. Oh my goodness, we did a podcast together and I've stuck ever since. And he knows that. And so he's kind of stuck with me no matter what. And so we are going to take a quick break so that I can get him on stage and get him moving forward. But Michael Gardone is coming on and we're going to have a great conversation. He is actually going to be sharing with us how you can actually break your career and design your life using investing principles. Y'all not even ready. Like I'm telling you, you're not. So I want you to take a break. Do that stretch, get yourselves together, and then we are going to tap in and have this conversation with Mike. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right. So let's end this session. I'll see you in a bit, guys.